river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me. Run through.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have the manager of Upton, and his name is Brindisi. He was with us when he first came on board. We grabbed him then. We had him on now, and now he's got a lot of things to talk with us. If you're not from the area, we have people watching from outside the country as well as various places in the United States. Upton is not far from Worcester. Okay, it's not far from Worcester. It's not far from Providence, even Springfield, Mass. So we're pretty, if you look on the map, we're kind of right in the middle somewhere. So Derek, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
You have
Great
quite a bit
back.
to talk about. There's some things coming up for Upton.
There's lots going on in the town of Upton right now. There's a lot going on. We just finished our town meeting a couple of weeks back, and we just finished our election. It was about a week ago, 10 days ago. And so we're moving forward. We have a lot of downtown redevelopment activities that are taking place. A new community center that has now been approved by both town meeting members and the electorate. So lots going on right now.
Now there's going to be a new library with a senior center attached. Right. Now you have this building, the Racine building, which is a historical site in Upton. What is the plans for this?
So right now there aren't any plans for this building. So when the community center is constructed and we cut the ribbon and the library staff move into that building and the COA staff move into that building, I would assume that the Historical Society
And the studio.
and the studio will continue to stay in this building for the near term. And I think that could be anywhere for 3 to 5 years until there's a public discussion on the future use of this building. So there are no plans in the immediate future for the use of
For this
Upton Racine
building. Now we have also heard that many people have asked me that if they watch the channel 191, 192, they love the bulletin updates, they watch this show, they watch all of it. Are you going to renew the contract with Charter?
So that's a great question. So the charter contract is coming up. I believe it expires next year. We've already engaged our town council. They have an expert who just focuses on cable renegotiations. Mm-hmm. These cable contracts are 10-year contracts, so they don't come up that often. So we plan on renewing with Spectrum Charter probably within the next 12 to 18 months.
Okay, so it's not going anywhere yet or anything like that?
No, it's not going anywhere on our end. Now, you probably know there's been a lot of conversations on the federal level. There's been a number of lobbyists in the cable world, so Verizon, Comcast, Charter, been really trying to get the federal laws to change so that they don't have to contribute annually to municipalities. So we get approximately, I want to say it's about $50,000 a year from Charter to fund our government access channel, our education access channel, and our public access, which this is on, as you know.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that our legislators will continue to ensure those dollars continue to come to municipalities like the town of Upton.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any other stations locally. I checked them all. Everything from Milford to Worcester. Nobody's showing any signs of not renewing. So it's interesting to see. So you don't think within a month or two this would be off the air?
No, I don't see that happening. Again, we're working with our town council who's tracking the federal legislation through the FCC on this very issue.
Yeah.
But it's something that's been out there for the better part of 2 to 3 years now. So it isn't a new conversation, but it's something that we're mindful of because again, we use these dollars to fund PEG, public education and government access channels. So it's very important to keep our residents and taxpayers very informed on what's happening.
Exactly.
Locally.
We have a guest who's been on. God, he's an author. He's been coming in for Rhode Island. I think he's been on this show almost every year, and he sat right where you are, and I mentioned him the possibility. He just was stunned. He went, because these stations, he said, are educational for the public. They get the word out, so he just went, no way. So we'll see. So anyway, tell everybody what we're going to have in the whole new center there.
Great, so that's a great question. So we went to town meeting. Let me take a couple steps back. So about a year and a half ago, the Board of Selectmen had advanced an article at town meeting, so great leadership by our Board of Selectmen at this level, to put forward an article of about $700,000 to be transferred from free cash to fund the design of a community center. So that was about 18 months ago. The Board of Selectmen, again, with their leadership, they went ahead and appointed a 7-member building committee who's worked the past 12 months to work with an architect and an owner's project manager to design a community center, which is now 15,000 square feet. It's going to house the senior center and the library all in one building, all on one singular floor. And so there were a lot of discussions. Should it be 2 floors? Should it be a single story? I can tell you without no doubt, I have visited single-story shared-use buildings and multi-level shared-use buildings. The single-story shared-use buildings are by far, in my opinion, more superior.
I agree. Yeah.
Because it allows for the synergy from the 2 different organizations to share space.
Kind of blend in and go from one to the other. And you don't have to worry about an elevator.
You don't have to worry about an elevator, and just think of like computer rooms. So our senior center has a little computer space that that the seniors use. Our library has computer space.
Yeah.
So if they were on different levels, that would be twice the cost because they would still need this. Right now we have one computer room. Both organizations are going to share that same space. So it's really exciting. 15,000 square feet of shared use. It's going to be located where the existing parking lot is, right next door to the VFW.
Okay, the big lot there with the, what do you call it, donation bin is. Okay, where the VFW and
right.
So it's going to be there.
It's going to be on that space right there.
So where's the VFW going to go?
VFW's not leaving, so they'll continue to maintain their own property. If you're standing at the VFW and you're looking towards, say, the Holy Angels Church, there's that wide open asphalt parking lot.
Yeah.
That's where the building's going to go.
Yeah.
And again, it's going to occupy some of what is now the existing playground, which is going to require us to move the playground slightly to, say, the left on that property. So it's great because when you really think of this building, it's really a building for all ages in this community. A brand new playground for toddlers. It's going to have a children's library section, for young children, and then an adult section for adults, and then it'll move right over into this the senior center, which will have a commercial kitchen inside there, offering lunch and breakfast opportunities.
Sort of
for
like they have
seniors.
now, the little kitchen. That's terrific.
Yeah, right. So it's really going to be a phenomenal space, and with everything else that's going on in the town center, this is really, in my mind, going to be a cornerstone to the rebirth of the town center.
When is it going to start, Derek?
Great question. So we're hoping, based upon the timeline we reviewed recently, that we're hoping to break ground on October 1st, right around that time period. Trying to get this foundation in before the winter hits. But right now, they're suggesting that it's only going to be a 12-month construction period.
Yeah.
We are hoping that we're going to cut the ribbon right around December 1st, 2022. So in about 18 months from today, we could be moving into this brand new space.
It's pretty exciting, huh?
Very exciting.
Okay, we're talking with Derek Brindisi, and he is the town manager here in Upton. Derek, if anybody has any questions, how can they reach you?
So you can always reach me at my email address. That's the best way to reach me. It's dbrindisi, BRINDISI, at uptonma.gov. That's the easiest way to reach me, or you can certainly call on the office at 508-529-6901.
And that goes directly to where you are.
That goes directly to my office, yeah.
The town hall, I mean, darn that pandemic, because we put all that money into this beautiful town hall, and we've had to keep it, pretty close. Is it open to the public now?
Yeah, effective June 1st, we reopened. It's interesting because the governor had lifted all the restrictions on May 30th, and we had already planned back in early April that we were going to reopen June 1st. So it was timely in the sense that we had planned on this reopening anyways June 1st, and the governor had lifted all the restrictions just 3 days prior to that.
It's like a feeling of freedom. I actually don't mind, I guess in the medical places, I guess grocery stores, I don't really mind. But at least when you're outside, what about these grocery stores? Are you finding you still have to wear the mask?
So, just over the weekend, I've noticed that when you go into grocery stores and say Home Depot, is like a mix, right? So there's some people that are saying, hey, I want to be free, and they're taking their masks off
Yeah.
because maybe they've been vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of folks that I've seen continue to wear their masks for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because they're not vaccinated just yet, or maybe they just, want to be safe, and so continue to wear masks.
Is the senior center, Derek, still going to have the vaccine during the summer for people?
So right now, the state is winding down what they call their public clinics.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working. We had a great relationship with the town of Uxbridge for the past 3 months.
That's where I went.
Yeah, having these regional vaccination sites that are open to just residents.
Yeah, the McCluskey School. That's where I went.
Yep.
Yep.
Right. It was a great location.
Yeah.
It was a shuttered building, so it was a perfect location.
Yep.
And we also, because of that joint partnership, we were having one day a week. We were having public clinics here at Nipmuc High School as well.
Yeah.
So, but we're starting to see those numbers really wane. The state is really moving the vaccine effort into pharmacies, back into the healthcare system, really where it belongs. So, I don't anticipate that we will continue to hold these public clinics. In fact, we'll just be moving, those folks that want to get vaccinated into those,
Sure.
really back into the healthcare system.
There's another question that over at the town hall there. Is it Warren Street that they
Yep.
are supposed? When is that going to start going up? No more barriers, especially those of us who live up there.
Yeah. So Warren Street. The plan is, and I'm not sure when it's going to start just yet, because we've redesigned the parking lot on Warren Street. So right now it's approximately 14 spaces. It's going to go to 21 spaces.
Yeah.
So we often hear there's not enough parking in the town center. Well, that's going to be an expansion. And then we'll take away those Jersey barriers and construct something more permanent. So probably some type of like wooden structure, and then that'll be the bottom at the parking lot, and we'll do another structure at the top of the hill. And the hope is that everything in between of those barriers will be lifted, and we'll just lumen seed it. So we'll have, when you look at that, you'll see this nice rolling grass hill looking up towards the top of Warren Street.
So that part of Warren Street will not be a street anymore.
It'll be closed forever.
Okay, I'm trying to think. Okay, the people over on the other street, they'll get out. If somebody lives at the top of Warren there, they just can't come down that way, and we can't go up that way.
Right, so if you live on Warren Street and you want to come down to the town center, you could traverse around Town Hall. There's that road behind Town Hall, and then certainly there's Church Street you can go down as well. So,
when do you think this is going to happen?
well, we were hoping for it to happen about a year and a half ago, but everything was going on in the pandemic. One thing we have to do first is we have to secure the infrastructure beneath Warren Street before we do disturb the road itself. So the DPW plans on relining the sewer main this summer.
Oh.
Once the sewer main is relined, then we can go ahead and reconfigure the parking lot. Once the parking lot is reconfigured, then we can turn it into this rolling grass hill. One thing you'll see, and I wish that we had taken pictures over the last 3 years. You've seen these little incremental improvements in the town center.
Yeah.
So 6 Main Street existed and was a dilapidated building for, people told me for 30, 40 years that building was shut.
Is that the one that was right behind?
It was right next door to Milton Steam.
Yeah, that was.
So again, under the Board of Selectmen's guidance and leadership, we went ahead, we acquired that structure. It was filled with asbestos siding, so we removed the hazard, and then at this time we just turned it into a little small pocket park.
Yeah.
So it's cleaned it up. We recently acquired last fall 0 Grove Street, which was the old gravel lot, which is directly across the street from the Milton Steam building. We're doing some work on that property. We think the long-term future use on that property will be a parking lot to support the businesses in the town center. Already, even though we haven't made it a formal parking lot, the brewery next door, which just opened, a lot of their patrons are using it. So we're really thinking, working with the Economic Development Committee, how can we support local businesses in the town center, and how can we encourage future small mom and pop businesses to relocate in the town center. So, and by acquiring some of these parcels, this is this concept called shared parking. So the planning board, if you were to go there with a business, they'd say, well, how many parking spaces do you have?
Yeah.
And so we're able to use these municipally owned parking lots to help support the businesses in order to meet their parking needs that the planning board require.
That's pretty neat. What are they going to do with the Holy Angels former church? That's a big question.
It's a big question. So let me first start by saying that the intention is to keep the Holy Angels Church and not to demolish the building. But again, that will be eventually out of our hands, because the long-term goal is to sell the Holy Angels property with the adjoining property and the town parking lot, so that we can create what we call this mixed-use concept, where we can envision on the first floor of a 10,000 square foot structure of businesses, maybe a restaurant, maybe a coffee shop, and then on the second, possible third floor, we would have residential buildings, so maybe a condo or an apartment complex.
Didn't they try that idea over there and didn't fly? The guy bought it, or he couldn't, yeah.
So the last owner of the Holy Angels Church wanted to just repurpose the church itself and put in 3 apartments.
Yeah.
Right? So, but we're thinking bigger than that.
Yeah.
We're thinking taking all the parcels in the area, the arcade block, the Holy Angels Church, and then the parking lot next door to it, which is owned by the town, and then adjoining all 3 parcels together, so that becomes enough space to recreate a mixed-use project. So right now, when you try to repurpose building and you don't have the parking, it doesn't work. So our thought process is, if we bring all parcels together, then a developer comes in and says, okay, I can make good use of this area here, and so we plan to be working with developers in the next, I would say, 6 to 12 months on a concept to be able to do that.
Right.
And so you think of like what that would bring to the town center, and then what we just talked with the community center. Now we're starting to create a town center that's vibrant, that is drawing ages across the spectrum here in town to come to the town center and have really an enjoyable time in town. Right now, I started in 2017, and I stood out front of the Holy Angels Church before I had even started with one of the Selectman Italian, and we chatted for 30 minutes, just standing there, just getting to know each other. And he said to me, he says, so what do you think? And I looked at him, I says, what I think is, you and I have been talking about 30 minutes, and the only thing I've seen is people zip through the center of town.
Yep.
What can we do to slow down the traffic and to bring folks to the center of town? And we're starting to see that now. Again, the Economic Development Committee was just appointed 3 years ago, and they're doing phenomenal work. We have a town planner now who's working with the Economic Development Committee, thinking of developing street fairs and food truck nights, again, to draw people downtown. So there's a lot of excitement that's happening right now here in Upton.
So if they, so this might, maybe by October they might begin it, right? They may begin the process, or December.
For the community center.
For the community
Yes.
center. And when people ask me about, well, what about the Racine building and the historical and all that, we know where the library's going, but how long do you think they wouldn't tear this building down, would they?
So I don't know if the building would be torn down. I think that's still a conversation. I think what's really the priority is, what do we see the future use of this parcel? Do we look at this building? Can we repurpose the building? Does a developer want to repurpose the building and put retail space on the first floor, like little markets, for example,
right.
and then rent out the second and third floor, back to the town? That's one
Sure.
possibility. But at the end of the day, I have heard over and over that we need to ensure that we have conversations with folks like yourself, folks like Tom Bear, because you guys are tenants here, and we want to make sure that we find a home for you. So, but honestly, I think that we've spent so much time focusing on the design of the community center that we know that everybody has a home for now.
Yeah.
And so we know we have years to have those types of conversations on the future space of this.
How
building.
about those, he's terrific, the guy that has, what is it, what's it, not Anytime, what's it called, on the corner? He has a whole bunch of record albums from the past. He's great. He's been on the show, and what is the name of his store? Anyway, the people who are in that
Right.
that plaza there now.
Yeah, Petal and Crumb is in there. They have a great floral
The
shop
floral
in there.
agency. There's a there's a hair place. We've had different people in there. Will they be part of the new that you foresee that new building?
Well, again, so that's a private parcel of land, and if the existing owner decides to sell that to a developer, I think that then becomes a conversation between the developer and those businesses around rent, affordability, things of that nature. But certainly, you can see that they've been successful because they've been there so long.
Oh yeah.
And so we want to continue to support those businesses.
Yeah.
I can say that I know that nobody envisions like a big box store coming in. Nobody envisions these chains to come in. Everyone's really focused on small mom and pop businesses that provide services that people here in town are asking for, and they don't have to drive to Hopkinton or up to Westboro to get.
Or Whitensville.
Right.
I've heard it said that why can't we get like a CVS in or something like that? Remember, I don't know if in the old years ago they had a pharmacy. Was it Finn's? I can't think of the name of it. It was a pharmacy down in the center where that. What is that restaurant? The 111 or
on Main Street.
Yeah, right at the corner with the lights.
Yeah.
It's like, speaking of lights, a lot of us are avoiding that light stuff, heading for Hopkins and going Mechanic Road right up to the Westboro. What are they doing over there?
So that's the TIP project. So TIP stands for Transportation Improvement Project.
Yeah.
So that project is funded by the state. That's an $11 million project. It's locally managed using our DPW and the contractors. That project is a 3-year project, so we're in year 2 of the project. Phase 1 of that project started on the Hopkinton line down to Pratt Pond, which is now the second set of lights in town.
Right.
So they've reconfigured that intersection there because there's during the commuting times, both in the morning and the evening, it gets very congested.
Yeah.
And so folks are coming down Westboro Road. They're trying to take a left in the morning because they want to get to 495. There's folks that are coming in from the Northbridge Grafton side, coming down Hartford Ave North. So that light's there really to try to control that traffic flow in the morning.
Yeah.
So phase 1 will be complete this summer. They've already started phase 2, which is from Pratt Pond back down to Hartford Ave North at that set of lights down by the Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
Is
it plumbing? What are they doing under there?
So they've done a lot of things. So before we started the project, we removed an old asbestos line water main from Hartford Ave North, probably about, I think it was about a couple thousand feet. So that was removed. Right now, and then the gas company, they came in 2 years ago and they removed some old gas mains. And then once the TIP project started, they started to rebuild the stormwater system that supports the road above it.
Right,
So
right.
they've done a lot of drainage, and then again, as you can see, they went down to gravel, and they're going to rebuild the road. So it's called full depth reclamation. Once they complete that, you'll notice you're going to see wider sidewalks, and you're going to see bicycle lanes will also be painted into this road. So it's part of a complete streets concept that's required by federal law, that you have to have roadways now that support pedestrians, bicyclists, and vehicles all in one space.
I know, especially when we go to UMass Medical, you probably, you go over the Shrewsbury Bridge, and it gets a little bit weird because it says bicycle lane, and then if you want to make the right turn and head up for the university, it's like, whoop, that is tricky.
Yeah, you definitely have to be a seasoned veteran bicyclist to navigate these shared roads, because when I was a kid growing up, we just rode our bikes on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And apparently you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to actually ride your bike in the road. So, so those are the things you're going to start to see more in town as we create these shared streets programs.
How about our beach? Well, by the way, on a lighter note, there were 2 swans. So it's probably a mom and a dad. And half the time I go over and down, one of the swans is in there, and his or her butt is in the air, probably dining with the fishies, right? Maybe the other one's sitting on the nest. So, did you know about these guys? This is great. They scare away the geese.
I didn't know about the swans, but geese what I would say resident Canada geese
Yeah.
have become a growing problem at the beach.
Yes, they have. Its poop is everywhere.
Right.
To put it bluntly.
Oh yeah, there's no
Yeah,
doubt.
you squish right into it.
In fact, it's such a problem. The town meeting appropriated and approved $7,000 this past May, so that we can try to manage the geese. And so we've hired a contractor to come in to move these geese off the beach. Because what's happening right now, well, up until this year, is every morning during the summer months, our DPW get there real early and they clean all the
I noticed.
goose poop off the beach.
Yeah.
Because, I know way too much about this because of my old, one of my former jobs, but they defecate, each adult goose
Yeah.
1 pound per day.
Yeah.
So, you got 20 geese out there. That's a lot of poop. So.
And then swans, I know I talked with our rec director a couple of years ago, but I said, look, Whitensville has got a bunch of swans on Meadow Pond. I mean, this is great. And evidently they scare away the geese.
Right, they do.
I don't know what happened, how they got these guys over here, but this is great. They're a mated pair for life.
Right.
So hubby or wifey is sitting on the eggs, but I would think the eggs would be hatched by now. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know the history of those two swans, but you're right.
Yeah.
They do harass the geese. So hopefully between the swans and the contractor we hired, we can keep these geese uncomfortable and they'll go find another place to nest.
Thank goodness. Now, the next question. You know that clubhouse is pretty cool.
Mhm.
It's been there for years. We have summer camp for the kids, and if it's rainy, you could go and whatever. Are they really going to put paddle ball? What are they going to tear that down?
So the Recreation Commission, they had gone through a recreation master plan about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it's been adopted recently. And so they have a 10 to a 15-year master plan of updating a lot of our recreation areas. And in that master plan, it talks about the Ramsey building, which is what you're referring to. And the space where that Ramsey building currently sits would be turned into a more robust, large playground. And they would then reconstruct a recreation building over on the edge of what is now the baseball field.
Yeah.
So there has been no money appropriated for this just
Yeah,
yet.
right.
It's all part of their master plan, though.
That beach is awesome. It's like an oasis. I talk about it quite a bit, and I love it. It's peaceful. I don't know any other beaches around here. They're quite as nice. Even the Grafton one, it doesn't have that whatever it is. It's almost like a private, oasis.
Well, it's nice because it's tucked away.
Yeah.
It's not on the main road. And you're right. So it is more like a private beach when you think about it. And only the folks that really know about it are the residents in town. And we had, I want to say it was about close to 200 of our youth attended Kids That Play last summer.
Yeah.
And it grows every year because we have a great recreation director in Andrew St. George. He does really a great job.
He's a great guy, yeah.
Again, under the leadership of the Recreation Commission. So they have great plans, and every plan costs money, but if the folks in town really want it, then I'm sure we can find grants and other alternative ways to fund some of these projects.
We're talking with Derek Brindisi, and he is the town manager here in Upton. Derek, how can they reach you again if they'd like to ask you a question?
Sure. Again, the best way to reach me is through my email address. That's dbrindisi@uptonma.gov. And then also you can call 508-529-6901. And we're always available. We're always taking phone calls over the weekends.
Closed on Fridays,
emails.
right?
No, we're open on Fridays.
You are?
Yeah, we're open until noontime on Fridays.
Okay.
Stay late on Tuesdays. Now that we're getting back to a normal routine. But tonight will be our first Board of Select meeting in person in over a year. It's actually going to be a hybrid meeting where folks can dial in virtually and
Zoom
still
in?
participate.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Zoom in,
Yeah.
but the board will be meeting in person. So we really want to follow this model because what we've noticed through the pandemic is that the public, generally speaking, has been more participatory because they can dial in and watch the meeting and participate from home through Zoom. So we want to continue to foster that type of...
Are you going to go back up to the old room, the room that used to be? Now they're going to be back. What's it called? The Little Town?
Little Town Hall.
Yeah, the Little Town Hall. And everyone's welcome, right? You can come in now and just watch it in person. And
Yeah, you can come in. So we've reconfigured Little Town Hall so we can accommodate this virtual platform. So it's not what you would think a year ago, the way
Yeah.
it looks. But again, it allows for folks to come in and talk to the Board of Selectmen in person.
Mhm.
But if not, sit at home, have dinner, and you can still talk to the Board of Selectmen virtually.
yeah.
So again, it's a great, we call it the hybrid model because it allows for folks to pick and choose what they think suits their style.
So much like the Hollywood Squares, isn't it? On
Yeah.
Zoom. It's like, I remember that show when I was growing up, and it's I've heard a lot of people say it's like the Hollywood Squares. There now the church, what do you call it? The Union, not Union. The big white church opposite the town hall.
Yep.
United Parish.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yep.
That's going to stay put, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's a very active church, and Pastor Laurie is. She was with us on Memorial Day, and so they've been a great partner in all of this.
Yeah.
They've been very supportive of a lot of the town's ideas. We worked with Pastor Laurie on the Neighbor to Neighbor program during the pandemic to try to support those folks that are in need. So they're a great
Yeah.
downtown partner.
Have you ever thought of? I know some towns do this. Most every town, I guess in America, has a private cable channels. Some of them merge. Now, if there's a problem with financing with like a charter or a spec, whatever, they merge so that they share them. Have you ever thought of that?
So it's interesting because we had thought of, and I had reached out to other municipalities that wanted to share cable services.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
But it was really difficult. I talked to Grafton; they have a very robust cable program.
Oh, they do. I used to be there. Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
so we tried working things out with some of these municipalities, but honestly,
They don't
nobody-
want to share.
Nobody really wanted to join forces, which is different because in another sense, like our town planner, he works part-time for the town of Upton and he works part-time for the town of Boylston.
Right, yeah.
And it was an agreement I worked out with the town administrator in Boylston. We both had a need, and we both felt instead of each hiring a part-time town planner, why don't we hire one full-time?
Right.
Because you can recruit better professionals,
Yeah.
credentialed professionals by doing it that way. But in the cable world, it was really hard. We weren't able to do that. So I think, though, like when we think of cable access for the Board of Selectmen meetings, because it's going to be done virtually, it's already recorded. So we're just going to, as we've done in the past, take those recordings and upload those to YouTube like we've done in the past.
So people, but you're not going to lose channels 192 and 191.
No,
Yeah,
we're
but
not going to lose those channels, no.
No. Do you have to pay for those channels?
No, they come part of the
They
cable
come.
package.
The question mark is, maybe in a few years or whatever, is are you going to re-up with the, whatever, that 50,000 you said a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, our intention is to sign a 10-year contract with Charter and then, again, try to improve upon the existing contract. So maybe instead of being 50,000, it's 60,000 or 65,000.
Yeah.
So we still plan on going down that pathway. But, again, it's going to really depend on if the FCC
Yeah.
makes any changes. To
Wonder if
those.
how soon the FCC will decide what they decide. I don't really know.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be a limbo for a long time.
That's not going to be a popular thing because you've got thousands of cable stations. I mean, gosh, Milford's got a good one. We have a good one.
Right?
All over. I worked in the Worcester one.
Mm-hmm.
At WCCA, I founded a program there, and then I started in Northbridge, and it was the cutest little thing. Well, that thing took off, and now they've got their own place down in the Rockdale section
Right.
of Northbridge. They just kept going up and up. So it's a good thing to have, and the bulletin board especially, because I love just. It needs to be updated right now, but I like tuning in and seeing what's coming up, what you guys are doing, what's coming up for the seniors, and all kinds of fun things.
Right.
People want to know. They really
Yeah, and
do.
it's a good way to, like you said, to get information out.
Yeah.
What I would like to see more, though, is the education channel
Yep.
become more active.
193.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when I was in Plymouth and I worked 15 years for the city of Worcester,
Yeah.
the education channel was really taken on by the schools,
Mhm.
and they used the money that we were getting from Spectrum, and they would they'd buy their students cameras and they would give them these guerrilla kids to go out and
Yeah.
make their own videos
Yeah.
and then upload them. It became like a learning service project for a lot of them.
Didn't
So
BBT used to do that? They used to have their own, didn't they?
they may have. I don't. But again, they were a group that we would try to work with early on too, and Mendon Upton Regional as well. So I'd like to see more of that in the future.
Definitely. We get more of the kids interested in the broadcasting. type of
Absolutely,
thing.
right.
Really, and you can have, I know in Northbridge, I'm not sure if we do here in Upton yet, but they will for free. You can come in and actually learn how to produce your own show. It couldn't be better.
Right.
And for free, good God, when I graduated high school, if I had known this 10 years later when I became interested in broadcasting, wow, what a shoo-in. I mean, I would have been there. My father was in broadcasting, and I just took to it, and I had to learn the ropes under fire. In college, I was on radio. I was the only woman announcer on radio. I had to learn that morning how to bring in all the different stations, bring up the news. It was a blast, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Then years later, I discovered, you know what? I want to interview people.
Right.
Because it's important.
And oftentimes that's like your first introduction to media is usually in college sometimes. Right?
Yeah,
you go to
yeah,
college and
yeah.
you write for the college newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like we have an opportunity to do that with our students here in town.
193, that channel.
Right.
Because right now it's not doing, didn't it used to be like the sports, I don't know what it was before, but
Right.
we've got 191 for the fire and police.
Yep.
We've got 192 for everything, basically, and then 193 is vacant right now.
Right.
Wouldn't it be great if we can make sure we keep all of them?
Right, and like you said, like wouldn't it be great if as a sophomore or a junior in high school you're learning this then instead of
Yeah.
trying to figure it out when you become an adult?
It's free.
Right,
You
yeah.
could come and you could even produce your own show.
Right.
I think that's pretty cool. I mean, we have got to wind it up again. We've been talking with Derek Brindisi, and he is our town manager here in Upton. And I remember when Derek came on board in 2017, right?
Right.
And we were changed. The studio was changed way pre-pandemic, and we used to sit the other way. Now we're like, he's on the other state of Massachusetts, the other end. But we did that to protect our guests. We did a lot of things. We had to change things. We had to wait. Oh, God, we closed down that March in 2020. We did not reopen, Derek, until January, February of this year.
Really?
And then we'd have things in the hall. Wear your mask. Make sure you... I mean, we've got air flowing in front. We did everything we possibly could to keep people really, really happy and safe.
We'll keep them safe, and at the same time, but with the work that you do, you want to keep the residents engaged,
Yes,
right?
yep.
I talked to Janice Nowicki, our senior center director, and she told me so many stories of her concerns of folks being shut in. The
Yeah.
seniors, the
Yeah.
elderly population, how they didn't have access to anything, and they were afraid to leave their homes. So,
Yeah.
but the work that you do helps keep people informed, keeps them engaged, and hopefully and that'll kind of get them to the next phase when now we can start to reopen. So it's been a long road.
What was it? On one day, one interview, we had 131 hits. Like I told you, this is YouTube. Once you're on YouTube, you are around the world.
Right.
I have a friend in Japan. We've got someone in Ireland. We've got people all over. 300 hits in 1 week. I remember Glenn Fowler used to tell me. I'm like, really? He goes, yep.
Well, that's great. That's a lot of hits.
It's important. It puts
Right.
us on the map even more, and it's great. We love to
Right.
hear from everybody. Thank you, Derek, for bringing with us. This is great. Maybe when we start the project of downtown, the new renewal, come back on again
Absolutely.
and just fill us in again as to what's going on.
Yeah, I definitely would like to come back more often to give folks an update.
Awesome,
Because
yeah.
oftentimes you hear a lot of rumors out there, so this is a great platform to kind of set the record straight.
Well, yeah, we heard the rumor that our television studio was going to shut down by the end of June. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And of course, we've had guests go, what? I said, we're going to find out from Derek what exactly is going on.
So I would say if you hear a rumor, email me at dbrindisi@uptonma.gov
Yeah.
or call at 508-529-6901. I spend a lot of time setting the facts straight because, again, there's a lot of rumors that are out there. So
Yeah.
we're happy to let folks know. And again, working in local government, it's all public information, it's all public
Yeah.
knowledge.
Right.
So we want to share that because folks need to have the right information.
Great interview. Now, we're going to be back. Well, let's get you back by summer. I'm assuming we're all going to be here by summer or fall perhaps, so that by then you might even have some more information?
Yeah, I think if we come back in September would be a good time. We can talk a little bit about the fall town meeting that will be coming up.
Okay.
We can give the folks an update on what's going on in the community center. We'll have a better sense
Yeah.
by then of what's going to happen, when we're going to actually have the groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So I think September would be a really good time.
September. Be watching. Thank you, Derek.
Great. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
Appreciate
Be
it.
my guest.
Thank you.
Heading out toward the moon, I am dancing to the lunar tune. Life goes by so quickly, time just slips away. But tomorrow brings a brighter day.